Happy Friday, TGIF. We made it. We made it to the weekend. Grateful to be live with each and every one of you today. Today, we're going to do a body scan and we are going to read from Heal Your Way Forward about real action is not a performance. So, thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for just trusting the process and knowing that we are taking our steps to be present for ourselves as well as the collective. There is a lot of energy right now. Um, there is a lot that could have us in a fight or flight or freeze state, and there's a lot that could have us in fear. And I just want us to know that fear is real, and the opposite of fear is action, right? So just want to start with inviting everyone to think of a word to describe how their body is feeling. Is there a word that could describe how your body is feeling? So you may be getting on the train to work, you may be at work already, you might not be able to fully think of a word to describe your body. But if you could think of a word to describe how your body is feeling, what would that word be? I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to borrow from the Direct Compassionate Communications body sensation list and think about a word to describe my body today, this morning. And I would actually say it's calm and spacious. So today, in this moment, my body feels calm and spacious. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to experience calm and spaciousness. Yeah. All right. So this list is here. If you want access to the list, join us for direct compassionate communication. We do that practice Monday, Wednesdays, and we're adding a Sunday and a potentially a Sunday group and potentially a Saturday group. So just stay tuned for all that. Those updates, they'll come in your email. And so again, just super grateful for presence and the ability to be with all of you, to be live, and to be moving at a really good, slow pace. All right, so we're going to read from Heal Your Way Forward. We're going to read Real Action is Not a Performance. My copies of the book are in a different space, but that's okay. I thought it would be good to just read a little bit. All right. And actually, before I read, let me go back to, I'm going to read a little backwards. We're going to just read from page 116. If you have this book, page 116 to the top of page 118. And it is in the chapter on action is not a performance in the book, Heal Your Way Forward. You are welcome to support the 3K and 30-day campaign, getting this book in the hands of students, nonprofits, and people who actually want a copy but cannot afford it. So we just put in our first order of books yesterday from our fundraiser, and we're going to be putting them in weekly and shipping them all out towards the end of this first round of our 30-day 3K campaign. All right, so moving into action. It takes a brave soul to move into action, and action requires clarity. If you are not clear with your commitments, you will continually move away from doing the work of co-conspiratorship. Action in this work is fueled by authenticity, accountability, and self-sustainability. But in a world that shames authenticity and accountability, how can we be consistent in anything that we do? That depends on you. If you are defining consistency based on society's terms, then you are in a constant cycle of upholding not enoughness. The current system praises us for overworking and penalizes us for taking a break. It glorifies overcommitting and sacrificing our mental health for the sake of others. You must define consistency by what works for you, what feels good for your life. Many of you won't have the answer because you still don't know what life feels like outside of the oppressive matrix. You haven't given yourself permission to drop into the fields of the work because you've been so consistent at performing, knowing the right thing to say, but not what to do. But guess what? You get to choose how this journey will work for you. You get to have a say in what works for this season of your life. But because white folks have been told to suck up their feelings, you'll never take the risk to emote, which causes barriers of you taking real action for change. Instead, you will say the right things, which only further cements the illusion of change on a machine that will not bend. But there are other barriers to growth. They include the fear of proximity, of doing this work wrong, of not knowing if you're an introvert, extrovert, or highly sensitive person, and or over consuming information. I can only assume you won't get proximate to the pain of those who hold marginalized identities because of time, bias, and whatever fears mainstream media has put into your head about communities of color. Many white folks avoid Black communities because movies such as Boys in the Hood have instilled that all Black communities are inherently violent and unsafe. So the opportunity you may have to support Black led movements in the hood are looked down upon because it's not a good fit for the work that you do. And as a white person in this work, good fits aren't an option. This isn't the Hunger Games. The odds will never work in your favor. You must know that this journey is less about your fears and more about what you're willing to lay down to support the oppressed, the poor, the orphan, the widow, the unhoused, the single moms, the marginalized, the silenced, and the lost. When you recognize that fear is only false evidence appearing real, you can lean into this work a little more easily. And once you're clear on your intentions for entering the work, you'll recognize that ease is the way forward. And that was from page 116 to the top of 118 in the paperback edition of Heal Your Way Forward. And a lot of people kind of look at me and ask the question of, what do you mean ease? What do you mean ease is the way forward? How can I have ease when there are people in the world suffering? How can I have ease when I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills? How can I have ease in insert whatever you need to insert around the idea of ease? Well, in a system that depends on us being hardcore, um, ease is possible. It's what you choose. And you are always in choice for your life and always in choice of your journey, whether you believe it or not. And choice looks different for everyone. That's why in the same book, and I'll read about it tomorrow, we talk about the co-conspirators IEP, the individualized education plan. That's what makes this work individual and collective, right? The work is individual and it's also collective. So it's very important for us to know that there is possibility there in the individual journey and the collective. And so when you have your co-conspirators IEP, you are actually able to determine the path for yourself that's forward and a path that is still in liberation, but still brings a sense of joy, ease, and pleasure. And one of the things that it's difficult for people in white bodies to understand is that you can have joy and pleasure and be on this work. You are a human being. So everyone's journey is different. So liberation means, what am I doing with my body, right? How do I find joy with my body? What does my body enjoy? What movements help me release my lack of control of what's happening in the world? Movement can move you forward to release. That could be yoga, that could be stretching, simple stretches, short walks in your neighborhood, okay? A Zumba class, a salsa class. The body also has to move because liberation work is a movement, and your body also, if it has access to move, can move. Some people have disabilities and they can't move their bodies as other people, but there are still ways that people with disabilities move, right? So your body must be involved. It can't just be us reading in book clubs and scrolling all the time. We can do both. You can take a walk and listen to a podcast. You can take a movement class and maybe in the back of your head, you're hearing a book. If you're in a yoga class, you're probably practicing mindfulness. So you're sitting and being present. What can you do on the journey to make your journey individual in support of the collective? Your individual journey is in support of collective liberation, and that looks different for everybody. And what's happening is that we are tapping into this echo chamber of everyone's journey looks the same, and that's just not reasonable. It's actually ableist if we want to keep it real. It is an ableist ideology that everyone's work must look the same, must be the same, must feel the same. That's kind of the root of ableism, right? If you're not able, you're not good enough. That's essentially what we're telling people. If you're not doing it this way, you're not good enough. If you're not acting in that way, you're not good enough. But who are we to tell people what they are good enough for? I know the old version of me participated in that, right? For sure, for sure. That's why I can speak so clearly about this, because if you look at me in 2020, right when George Floyd died, right about until 2021 when I started getting sick, you'd be like, these are two same message, always the same message. What you cannot say is that my message has not been the same. Same message, different positioning. Because sometimes it takes you to lose your abilities, to lose some of your senses for you to really recognize and think about what the work is really about. Sometimes it takes great loss for you to find yourself in this work again. And I think that's what's helped me accept my role in this work now as kind of a somatic liberation practitioner, teacher, student, as well as a writer, author, all those things. Um, but you only get there when you contract, because this journey requires expansion and contraction. We can't be on all the time. It's not sustainable and it's not healthy. And so a lot of people, get mad and ask me, and I forgot to go get these from the Dollar Tree. So I'll go this morning and I'll show you how to get candles, and we'll have to find a different area in the home to burn them. But you could actually let go of control by a writing release or a writing and burn, um, having elements involved in practices to help you get grounded in your work. And one of the things that is really interesting to try or consider is candles. Finding some candles um, that allow you to really consider and think about the ways in which you can release and let go of control. So I can't control what's happening in Gaza. I can't control Sudan, Congo. I can't control what's happening in Israel. I can't control hostages that aren't being released. I can't control the hostages that were murdered. I can't control what's happening in with our government, but I can prepare. And so when I know I can't control, what I do is I've been talking about candles all week. You can take a candle, you can get a pillar candle. They have these at the dollar store, and you can literally get one candle for whatever you want to get it for. And you can literally write on a piece of paper, like this candle is for peace and blessings. So when I'm live, I have a light to focus on. It keeps me calm and in my body. So what are the tools that I need to use to stay calm when the world is not present, when the world is not calm? So you can grab you a candle, and you can light candles as a practice of letting go of control and surrendering to the suffering of others, because we don't want others to suffer, right? So that's some candle work you can do. You can also ground yourself and let go and release, do a writing ritual, and then you can also use some fragrance to sit with. So frankincense. Sometimes I use frankincense, sometimes I use other tools, but this is actually a charcoal burning bahur. And bahur is a tool it's from a different country. And I like to burn it because it gets me grounded in my body. But this specific fragrance is something that I can open the windows of my home and like bring in new energy, right? So a lot of this is slowing down enough on your journey to have tools and practices that allow you to be present in your life and present on your journey. And it's not something that we talk about often. Again, I know there's a lot happening in the world, and I know everyone is going through a lot. And the best thing we can do is take action. And the best action is not a performance, but the best action is preparation. So, what does preparation look like for you on this journey? Well, I gave some resources yesterday on the live. I'm going to update the preparation resource list. I'm going to update that list, and I am going to re-put it in the link in the bio so you all can grab the, like, I think it's called Rooted and Ready. It's going to take me a little while because we also have these sessions coming up that I need to help coordinate, where we have a Scout Master in our community. And he's going to start teaching us virtually different things that we can do that are outdoor survival skills to prepare for what's coming. Right now, moving beyond panic and moving into preparation is really something that will allow us to take some of our power back with ourselves and know that we are not powerless. So, what are some ways to prepare for what's coming? Well, if you're like me and you live in an open carry state, you might want to consider getting yourselves and your families uh, gun training, gun safety training, and going to the shooting range. Another activity that they do here. Now, I live in a state where the state sponsors so many activities. I just found out. So there's an archery class, right? And so starting in October, we'll be going to the Saturday archery class. Listen, it might not be the Hunger Games, but why not prepare in case it does turn into them? Right now is a time that all of us should be learning survival skills and life skills because we don't know what's coming, but we also aren't prepared for it. And so instead of being in this performative action, what is preparation? This is a great season. It's about to be fall too. Fall is a really good time to, like, cleanse the home, cleanse your space, cleanse your spirit, and get clear. And it's also in between eclipse seasons. And so we're in between two eclipses, and their eclipses are, from all the astrologers I'm reading and from what I'm noticing, is that it is asking us, what are we willing to let go and leave behind to step in and to prepare? Hey, Monica, thank you for being here on Substack. What are we willing to let go of? What are we willing to surrender? And I'm hoping that we can surrender the need to perform, surrender the need to give up, surrender the need to feel powerless. And again, that practice for me is smudging, smoking, candle lighting, and not being online. This is the first time that I can say that I have some goals, and I try to post in the morning and afternoon and try to get content throughout the day, but I'm not scrolling as much as I used to. It used to be really, really bad. And it feels good to be breaking that addiction to the scroll, looking for a dopamine hit and trying to think about what's natural dopamine look like for me and how can I get that naturally. And the one thing we can all do to get dopamine quickly is go for a walk and or use some tools. That I have tools in the house, like I have a vibration plate. Why am I not using it? And things of that nature. So really, it's really moving beyond the performance of action and really cultivating your individual education plan and going from there. And so as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself too, asking myself, what's my individual education plan? I have some things you don't also always have to share things publicly, but I do have some individual learning that I'm doing. So some of the things that I'm learning and taking deeper for me is Gene Keys, coaching, therapy, meeting with some coaches that I've worked with in the past to get clear on the vision for the future. So it's really interesting. The first coach who helped me with Check Your Privilege, before it turned into, we cultivated into Heal Your Way Forward. In 2020, she's like, okay, Maisha, you hit all the goals. Now what's next? And we never finished that what's next conversation. So I'd have to go, again, the practice is Sankofa. We go back and grab the person and say, hey, we've hit all these things. So now let's cast for the next 4 years. And then you bring in all the other folk who helped along the way as well. And so this is a really good moment to slow down and surrender. That is also what we're being asked to do. Slow down and surrender and learn to connect to the self. There's so much juiciness inside of ourselves, inside of yourself, inside of myself, that we've often forgotten because we're trying to keep up with pop culture. We're trying to keep up. And I've never been good at pop culture. I've been lying to myself this whole time. I am not good at keeping up with celebrity gossip. I've never been good at comparing what celebrities are doing to the social movement. I literally, that's just not my gift, right? And I've accepted that. But what I do love about my gift is that I can see where the human spirit is beginning to lose a piece of itself and how it flows. And so I have to say, if you're following me now because you think I have pop culture references or I'm telling you to call people out, like that person is not here anymore. Um, it's literally a beautiful space to be in when you can be with yourself and trust in the silence of your life and the slowness and the stillness of it. And I think that we're just all shifting that way. So I want to thank you all for tuning in to this kind of calm and present live this morning. Again, this is someone I haven't turned on the news. My body doesn't have any over dopamine, and it's just for me nice to be in a place where I'm understanding I'm in it and not of it. That I'm literally present to what's happening. I'm doing what's in the circle of my control. I call that synergy thought mapping. I have a whole thought mapping process of focusing on what you can control. Um, and you want to focus on what you can control, not what you can't control. And right now, there's a lot happening that we can't control. So the invitation is to surrender. And when you're in sobriety and you go to some of the 12-step group programming tells you surrender is part of the process, not let go. Hey, Taylor, but to surrender, to surrender to the unknown, to surrender to everything. And surrendering is not giving up. Sometimes surrendering is an act of self-care. Your ability to surrender is an act of self-care. I'm talking to you and I'm talking to myself too. All right. So if you are just now hopping on the live, you can catch the replay on our YouTube at Heal Your Way Forward. We do share clips from our lives on all of our social media platforms. One of the biggest things I want to say is that if you are on TikTok, I want to highly recommend that you subscribe on our YouTube channel and join our mailing list because TikTok is being sold to a different company. And so we'll have to all download a new app. So it's best to start getting on our mailing list because our mailing list is how you'll stay in touch with us. And we're going to be updating our preferences to opt into our mailing list so you guys can stay up to date with the information you want to hear from us. So just stay tuned because we're under construction. You know, we've been under construction and there'll be some major updates in the fall. So stay tuned because we want to go to 2026 rooted and ready and really like springing forth as a collective. And so if you're a member of the Heal Your Way Forward Collective, thank you for your membership. If you have just if you're doing the cohort, our summer cohort is going to be getting ready to welcome our late fall cohort. So if you're looking for a collective community to gather with to help you on your journey, we are going to be opening up our membership in 2 days. So you'll be invited in, and then you will also be walked through a 14 to 18 week process. You'll kind of be walking who we are, what we do, what we believe, how we can support you, how our community works. Like we ushered in a new way. And so stay tuned because those emails go out on Monday, welcoming anyone who wants to come join our collective. And again, it's going to be an absolute beautiful practice. Again, we are shifting, growing, and changing today at 4:00 p.m. If you want to come, we have the Addiction to Whiteness class happening at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let me see. If you're on Substack, I'll put that note up so that you guys can copy on if you want. And yeah, starting tonight around 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to do my first of my 2 to 3 hour live-a-thon where we're going to be, our goal over the weekend is to get 100 copies of these books ordered throughout the weekend. So you'll see me live a lot. And so if you're someone who doesn't know about the 33K and 30-day campaign, no worries. Just get it in your emails here shortly. And also, you'll get it in your emails. And we'll talk more about that over the weekend. So I appreciate all the ways that you support Heal Your Way Forward, Check Your Privilege, myself, my family. Grateful to be present with each and every one of you during these live streams. Breaking news, you're doing your best. I will see you all on the next live stream. And until then, my friends, please keep living into your work.